I want to give some special thanks here. I had already done that, but I didn't clarify why. My Facebook friend was examining the Hebrew Gospel of Luke, and he noticed the preposition was different. That it was pointing, it was specifying that the word that follows, which you know, the letters YHWH there is to be say as Adonai, and this is history, and so on. And I want to give him the credit he deserves, because I mean, he pointed that out to me and others, that were his friends, and we shared it all across the internet. And I think that even somebody else had pointed out when I was listening to the video. Also, I want to thank Facebook user Bridget Dorsey. I believe that I pronounced the name properly. She has supplied some additional information that I had used in a number of Facebook posts and comments, and I had used it. She had stated that they were from Malak Hashem. I'd only seen them on her profile wall, so I made use of those examples as well. Now, even though that the Facebook users that I give thanks to here, and many other Facebook users or people who don't use Facebook or any social media, don't really we differ on the pronunciation of the this here YHWH is called the tetragrammaton. We all know that the prepositions in the Hebrew grammar are the same. No matter how many grammar books you buy or sheets. And this photo comes from courtesy of Jeff A. Banner and his work called Mechanical Translation of the Torah, and this site's been updated. If you can't access it right here on this video, I'll post it in the below comment. He's also of the Ancient Hebrew Research Center, which also has a site. It also says here, we see here, this is title for a distant time, and I guess that's because the terms here used a generation and generation. Now on to the next thing. I will address this in an upcoming video. The Almighty's name, the Almighty Heavenly Father's name, is Ehyeh, and this name is solely for Him and Him only, and no other. And so when you see here, but however, sometimes this is also used just as a verb. And right here, the one is telling you that it's used as a verb. And now that's been removed. Jeff has removed that from the website because it was confusing people. Then we get over here, we see it's used as a name, and that's what the number 2 is, a code that Jeff used as meaning a name. And so the update on the website has removed these numbers out, and also the commentary is not in there. I'll address this further in the future. Jeff Benner's main website is Ancient Hebrew Research Center, and he's remarkably skilled in regard to Hebrew, and he has access to a lot of materials and he studies them. And many people I hear reference his works, and he sells books too, and he gives lessons. And so please consider donating to his ministry, especially if you have found his resources useful and you have the funds to do that, because I mean his work is priceless. I mean, it's very valuable. Now, of course, going back on the A type letter for under the inseparable prepositions, somebody has suggested an A-type letter for Gordon Hebrew, since they don't want to acknowledge that it says Adonai, and with the same A letter right here, Casper, as in Casper the Ghost version, Jehovah. The Rav has left out the word friendly, which was in the old cartoon that most of us old users know as Casper the Friendly Ghost. And so, they have Casper. I mean, because that's what, if they want to use the A in front of the, it's a signal to use something and say it's not Adonai. They can opt for this one or something else. That's just the Jewish Rav. Rav is kind of like a short, like rabbi, but some of the Greek, up in Matthew 20, chapter 23, verse 7, sort of didn't get that right, because it's not really saying rabbi, it's really saying rabboni, letting you know that the disciples were instructed that they were not to be called rabboni or something like that, or they were not to be called father in the next verse. Now here we go, an example about the inseparable prepositions. And the word Jerusalem, we know, is actually in Hebrew Yerushalayim, and strangely it's actually a dual or duality word, because in Hebrew, unlike English, they have a dual and duality mode, which is two, and then the plural or plurality mode is three or more. It could be three, just three. It would be 30, 300, 3,000, and so on. Especially if it's meant as a plurality, it's meant in a sense of plurality. And this very well here may mean in the sense of duality. We really don't know. At least we didn't know back before the year 2012. Now somebody's come up with something since then. Maybe we know now, but I'm not familiar with any information about it. As to why that word is formed in this type of mode here, dual or duality. To say that word using an inseparable preposition, El, unto Jerusalem, you would say Li Jerusalem, because see, the Y-E has dropped out. It's lost its consonant sound, and because it had that upside down E, which is the schwa. You would not see La Jerusalem in the vowel pointed text. And the same happens if you say in Jerusalem. It would be Jerusalem, not Ba Jerusalem. If the word, the mishap started, this all began back in the year 1278, where a real Hebrew word. For these two examples, it would read Li Hoa or Be Hoa, where the Y sounds like the E in the word greet. Thus, like Yahweh, as one example, many, onto something that starts with the A in the first syllable. And it's not Li Yahweh, because that's the way it would have been if that were a real word, including the vowels. And it would be also be rendered as Li Hoa. Although Hebrew grammar, syntax, and tradition, which is done here, as it looks like in the photo on the hand here, instructs the reader that it conveys onto or for or to Adonai, it's just bad. It's bad to be doing something like this. Also, because it's still nevertheless, it still contains the letters YHWH, and the A-type vowel under the L is highlighted in light blue color right here. See, it's just like a underline, like a dash. It's recommended to people when confronted by these mischievous tricks, since they, people, they may be decent, honorable people, and they just don't realize they're being misled, to nicely request that you would like to see the tetragram. Those promoting this Yahweh or Jehovah, and that you would like to see that in those Hebrew manuscripts where they include the inseparable prepositions with it. Because, see, once they show those, and they have inadvertently done that and didn't realize it, that shows that the word that follows is pronounced with an A letter in the first syllable. Nobody seems to know anything about it. Any such conjugated Hebrew words that begin with Y, E, which is a schwa, upside down E, with any inseparable prepositions, with a patah, it's called Hebrew patah, A-type vowel, under the preposition, as in la ya, because it's just not real. Any compounded form, and like in Bibles that include the nakud, which is the vowel system, with the exception of the tetragrammaton, which is a concealment anyway. And you don't have to watch Rambo movies to understand the issue of military codes. As an analogical example here, the tetragrammaton is not the only word that was actually concealed in Hebrew manuscripts. There were other words too. I mean, what you saw was actually something else, and it's like in military codes. You might use a word or a name for that's not real for a real name or real word. And so the people on the receiving ends and talking to each other, like in the military, know what it says. That way, the enemy doesn't know, or the outsiders don't know.